So, importance of commercial banks for number one, for the government. Well, governments can always borrow money from commercial banks. Also, government can borrow money from the commercial banks by selling them government bonds. Now, bonds are these piece of paper. It's kind of like an IOU that the government says we want 1,000 rupees. So they're gonna give and we're gonna pay you 10% interest on it, sort of like a loan. So this bonds, the government will give it to the commercial bank, and the commercial bank will lend them 1,000 rupees, expecting 10% return on it whenever they return. So one of the things that the government can do is borrow money from these commercial banks. Secondly, governments, with the help of central bank, because central bank doesn't deal with individuals, central bank can make an effect. So government through central bank can affect consumers and producers borrowing through changes in the interest rates. So obviously, if the central bank increases the interest rates, the commercial banks will raise the interest rate, and that will uh, have an impact on the consumers and the producers and the way they borrow money. Central bank cannot deal with the people directly, so government can keep accounts of people's earnings and taxes paid by monitoring the bank accounts in commercial banks. Now, the importance of commercial bank for the producers. Okay, for producers, we're talking about the businesses. So, for businesses, what is the importance of commercial banks? Number one, they can borrow money. Okay, for buying land, machines, etc. ठीक हो गया. Number two, they can receive and make payments easily. They can keep their money safe. So it's one of those, the main activities of the commercial banks. They can even, like, if they have a lot of money, they can put it in the savings account and they can earn interest also, right? So we can write that they can earn interest by keeping excess money in the savings account. ठीक हो गया? In fact, what I can do is not just for consume producers, I can even say for the consumers this would apply. But as far as the borrowing will go, the borrowing will be for, like, consumers and households, yani consumers can borrow money for buying cars, houses, groceries, etc. So obviously their reason for using the bank will be slightly different. और फिर जहाँ तक payments की बात है, it's going to be more towards paying bills. Then as far as the importance for central bank, अब जहाँ तक इम्पोर्टेंस फॉर सेंट्रल बैंक है उसके अंदर there's not much importance for the consumers and the producers. The importance is for the government, right? For the central bank, because mainly central bank is dealing with the government. So what kind of stuff that the central bank can do? Well, the governments can borrow money from the central bank. As in your books you will come across this, lenders of the last resort. What it means is that if the central bank is if the government is unable to raise money from the people, from the commercial banks, from the foreign economies, from the IMF, if they're not able to raise money from anywhere, they can always raise money from the central bank by printing more. So you always have this as a last resort. Usually, one would say that if you can get the money from the central bank as you own it, you have it, so why would you even bother going to somebody else and borrow money? Usually what we say is because if you print your own money, it creates more inflation in your economy. That's why you want to avoid going to the central bank. All right. फिर उसके अलावा गवर्नमेंट्स के और क्या काम हो जाते हैं सेंट्रल बैंक के लिए? वेल, सेंट्रल बैंक central bank manages all government activities, financial activities mainly, all spending and everything like that. उसके अलावा they manage the national debt, right? And how much money is being spent, how much money is short, how much do we need to raise, all of that stuff, and obviously manage the monetary policy अब मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में दो चीज़ें हैं, एक मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द मनी सप्लाई एंड द इंटरेस्ट रेट। ओके, इससे तुम्हारी इकॉनमी इम्प्रूव भी हो सकती है, इससे तुम्हारी इकॉनमी स्लो डाउन भी हो सकती है। सो इट्स अ वेरी important policy. In fact, we will talk about these policies later on, the fiscal and the monetary policy. Very important two policies that the government has.